So what are some types of trauma? I have simplified this for our purpose today. We could spend a whole hour just talking about the types of trauma, but let's think about the types of primary trauma. Acute trauma, this refers to events that are one time, right? So a good example of this is someone is in a really bad car accident. It is very traumatic. They thought they were almost going to die, but they didn't. That experience is going to shape how they get in a car the next time, maybe avoiding driving, maybe avoiding going places. That would be an example of an acute trauma. And when we're talking about chronic trauma, now we're talking about experiences that are prolonged and over time. So good examples of this is probably domestic violence over time, poverty, child neglect, physical abuse. These are all things that are happening over time. Sexual abuse often happens over time, right? So those are chronic traumas. And then we have some that are collective and group-based, right? So in this category, we're talking about caste-based trauma. Belonging to a certain caste can be actually very traumatic, right? So if you're being discriminated against or marginalized, caste-based trauma is a real thing. Identity-based trauma. So when you identify as queer or LGBTQ or have a distinct identity in your life that is a marginalized identity, sometimes religion could be that too. And these are traumatic experiences that generations experience as a group. And then lastly, historical or intergenerational trauma. Actually, a good example of this is probably our colonial legacy in India, right? That we've been under British rule for years and years and years. Actually, not just the British, a lot of colonizing. And that is actually a historically and intergenerationally traumatic event. We're still kind of understanding the impact of it and coming out of it, but that's a good example of a historical or intergenerational trauma.